I'd call the public hearing to order for the Village of Round Lake Beach for Monday, March 26, 2018. Please call the roll.
Trustee Husk.
Here.
Trustee Valdez. Trustee Wallace.
Here.
Trustee Butler.
Here.
Trustee Nichols.
Here.
Mayor Hill.
Here. Let the record show a quorum is present. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
Second.
By trustee Valdez, second by trustee Wallace. A motion is second. Any questions, corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved as written. We only have one item of business on this public hearing. That's the 2018-19 fiscal year budget. I'll turn over to our finance director, Kevin Bueso. Kevin?
Thank you, Mayor, the board, and staff, everyone. Good evening. The purpose of today's hearing is to go over or do an overview of the fiscal year 2019 proposed budget. And so before we get started, we're going to talk about the overall financial planning for the village. And so the financial planning, and I apologize that the screen is cut off there. But the financial planning really starts in October, November with the financial forecast. And then it moves on to the capital plan. And now where we are with between November and March with the annual budget. We do also have the monthly treasurer's report. And then it ends with the financial or comprehensive annual financial report, which is we go through field work and everything between May and October. So when we talk about the actual just fiscal year 2019 budget and what we did, first of all, I want to say thank you to the village board for setting up a system or a process in which is it's a smooth process, which is throughout the whole fiscal year instead of waiting until basically until this month. So it's a year-round process, and that process starts with the multi-year plans, and that includes the long-term capital plan, long-term financial forecast, any of the equipment replacement plans that we discussed during the year. And then around that time, so 61% of the budget is approved. Then between May and October, the village board reviews the water rate and also the audit. And at that time, another 11% of the budget is approved, which brings it to 72%. And then we talked about the insurance premiums, the tax levy, and the CENTCOM lease, as well as the capital plan in December of 2017. At that time, the village board had approved 88% of the fiscal year 2019 budget. Now in January, the village board approved the debt service, bond abatements, line of credit that's used for housing. At that time, 91% of the budget was already approved by the village board. And now where we are right now, it's looking at we met with the village board. The department heads review all the notes on the budget, and it closes with today's budget hearing and also approving of the ordinance. Some of the challenges that we looked at include the major revenues, so that includes the amusement tax, water sales, income tax. One of the largest revenue items that we're looking at includes the water sales and amusement tax, which we may bring up to the board for further discussion as the budget year continues. Some of the items that we see throughout the year over the last 4 or 5 years here. It's the state finances, which has been building up over several years, but they continue to look at other revenue sources, including local governments and how they can tap on these revenues that go through the state to the municipalities. And so this fiscal year budget, it maintains the current employees, so 75 to 77 full-time equivalents, fully funded capital plans that includes the capital plan that was approved in November, vehicle replacement, asset replacement, water main and sewer capital. And also it maintains the fund balance policy that the village board has established. So when you look at the total, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to fix this because otherwise it will not show the funds separately. So I'm gonna pause it for now. Okay. This should be a little bit better. So I'm sorry that the numbers are smaller, but so the total operating budget or the operating funds includes the general fund in total is $19,834,029. And that includes general fund $14,649,863, water and sewer for $4,886,800. The Metra operations, police restricted revenues, these includes Mobileye, fundraising that they do, and all the related expenditures, along with the Civic Center, $230,121. So in total, operating funds includes $19,834,029. Capital funds include in total $5,973,101. And that is made up of motor fuel tax, which is the funding that's being used through the state, and the village board already passed a resolution for these. And that is $1,044,952. Housing and redevelopment, and that's using the line of credit and other related expenditures, so that's $578,297. Includes general capital of $827,000. Any funds that are left from the bonds that were issued in 2016, which is $938,917. Any of the TIF revenues, $260,049, which is right now being allocated to fund balance, so it's being saved for future projects. And then the water main and sewer capital, which is $2,323,886. And then you add the replacement funds, which includes the equipment replacement, which is $582,348. These funds are going to be used for refreshing the servers. As if during the discussions we talked about the servers being out of warranty, and also they were installed in 2012, 2013. So we're looking into refreshing that environment in a way that it can handle all of the data collections that we're doing now. It also includes updating the in-squad tough books, and so that's about between 17 and 18 of them. So all these and car replacement, that's all included in this fund. Same thing with asset replacement. So those are all the funds that are being allocated either to depreciation or items that need to be replaced during this fiscal year. And then some obligations like debt service and the risk management, which includes health insurance and general liability. So that total is $3,083,787. So in total, when you're looking at the fiscal year 2019 budget, including interfund transfers, so transfers from the operating budgets into all the other funds is $29,578,615. Where this funding is coming from, 49% of that is related to tax collection. This does include income tax, tax levy, sales taxes, any other locally imposed sales taxes. Licenses and permits, that's 1%. Fines, that's 2%. Any intergovernmental revenues, so 363,000, that's another 1%. Miscellaneous revenues like liens and that kind of stuff, it's less than 1%. Charges for services, that's 5,046,435, and that's all related to water, mostly related to water sales. Any fees, 237,000 or less than 1%. Other financing sources, 3,406,000 or 11%. That's related to using the loan that was closed on last fiscal year, and also using the remaining balance of the bonds that were issued in 2016. And then any other transfers from the operating funds into the capital fund, so that's 17%. Now these funds, how they're being expended, 17% of that is transfers out, so transfers into these capital funds. Salaries and benefits, 33%, which makes up the largest category within the expenditures. And then you got contractual services, 21%, commodities, 3%, financing expenses, your debt service, so that's 2.8 million. And then any of the capital outlay, 5.1 million. This is just a detailed comparison between in the general fund between departments, so what the fiscal year budget was for where we are right now versus 2019. Overall, in the general fund is going up or is increasing by 5%. Most of that is related to the transfers out, as you can tell, and then some of the allocations between the police department, and that's more transferring salaries and benefits from within the departments. Overall, again, that's a 5% increase on the general fund. On the water and sewer fund, that's a 1% increase. And most of that is related to the transfers out for capital. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this budget keeps up with the fund balance policy. And we are projecting that by 4/30/2019, the village is going to end up with a fund balance of 69%. The policy is 65%. We never want to budget as too close to 65% just to make sure that we are keeping up with inflation and also any increases in revenues. The increases or the decreases in that you see there in fund balance in 2014-15 was in preparation for the capital plan in 2017. As you recall, about $4.5 million were used for road replacement in 2016-2017. So that fund balance was built up and then brought down per policy transfer over to the capital plan. In conclusion, this fiscal year 2019 does not add any additional fees, and it also doesn't add any new programming. So it just maintains everything that the village has. It's as lean as the village can run. If there are any new programs or expenditures in there, that means that we have to come up with sources of those revenues. Again, funding for all the capital plans, maintaining the staffing levels and the current level of services. So before I go into the questions, again, I just want to say thank you to the department heads, the village administrator for making sure that we're keeping track with the budget, making sure that we're reviewing every month the entries that are being made and all the data entry that they did to make sure that we were on time for the fiscal year 2019 budget. And with that, thank you, and any questions?
Thank you, Kevin, for the presentation there. Once again, the village has done a great job putting together their budget, keeping within our budgeted amounts without having to increase fees or other expenses like that. Are there any questions for the audience on our public hearing for our 2018-19 fiscal year budget? Well, having no questions, I call this hearing to a close. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Husk. Second by trustee Butler. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. We'll start our board meeting in a few minutes.
Right.
Because it didn't say here.
It was working after she left.
Oh, Jim, Muskie, they upped the fishing limit up by the snow. It's 2 inches.
That's the minimum? So have you been out yet this year?
No, no,
A little chilly up there still.
the river's way low because they didn't have much snow up north, so it's way low. And then they dump it right now for the thaw to come, and there's nothing, so, yeah, but yeah. So if you think you can fish with, the big girls, come on out.
I would love to.
Maybe Chuck and Aaron are coming up and fishing.
You never know. We'll begin in a few more seconds. Call the meeting to order for the Village of Round Lake Beach. This is our board meeting for Monday, March 26, 2018. Please call the roll.
Trustee Husk.
Here.
Trustee Valdez.
Here.
Trustee Wallace. Trustee Butler.
Here.
Trustee Nichols.
Here.
Mayor Hill.
Here. Let the record show a quorum is present. Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any additions or deletions on the agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Motion by trustee
Second.
Butler.
Motion by Sue.
Motion by trustee Butler. Second by trustee
Second.
Valdez. We have motion and a second. Any questions, corrections, clarifications on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved as written. We have the March 12th, 2018 council meeting minutes. Any corrections, clarification on those? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Nichols,
Second.
second by trustee Wallace. We have motion and a second. Any corrections, clarifications, questions on the March 12th, 2018 council meeting minutes? Again, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those minutes are approved. Let's see, tonight we don't have any expenditures to approve, and we have no ratifications to approve, so move right on to committee reports. And the trustees have any reports?
I do, Mayor. With regards to Swalco, I just want to remind everybody that starting April 2nd, we will now have electronics recycling in Round Lake Beach. Collections will be located on Sunset Drive, south of Hawthorne, at the sanitary plant. The site will be open from Monday to Friday from 7:30 to 3:30, and Saturday 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. We also still have the electronics recycling at Grays Lake Public Works on Berry Avenue. Their times are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 3:30, and Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon. And Grays Lake also accepts other things such as textiles, plastics, paper, cardboard, etc. Also, during the month of April, residents can upgrade their recycle bins from the smaller bins to the 96-gallon containers at no cost. You just have to call Waste Management at 800-796-9696 or visit their website at www.wm.com. Also, I just want to remind everybody to mark their calendars for Beach Fest. We're hoping this year will be awesome compared to what we ran into last year. This year, we changed the date. It'll be July 12th through the 15th, with the 12th being just the carnival, and then the 13th through the 15th being the full festival. Friday will be 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., Saturday 1 p.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., with our usual fantastic 2 music stages, food vendors, beer tent, retail vendors, et cetera, et cetera. So, fun for the whole family. Make sure everybody comes out. And I almost forgot. For Swalco, recycle first, trash last.
Thank you, Trustee Wallace. Always looking forward to Beach Fest, and I'm sure it'll be in our newsletter as well as on our website
It
for
will.
future information about it. So put it on your calendars now so you don't skip it. Any other reports tonight?
Mayor, if we also could remember May 5th, we have American English going to be at the Civic Center again. Check your calendars, save the date. They are a great, fun evening. All of the great Beatles music. So they really get into it and put on a great show. So come out and see them.
They've been out here several times.
Yeah.
They do put on a great show. You're right. And for those people that are from that era, it means a lot to us.
Yeah.
Any other reports? Okay, move on to our mayor's report then. We have a couple items here today. First item is the Fair Housing Proclamation. Would our village clerk please read that?
Whereas April 11, 2018 marks the 50th anniversary of the passage of the U.S. Fair Housing Law, Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, as amended, which enunciates a national policy of fair housing without regard to race, color, religion, sex, familial status, handicap, and national origin, and encourages fair housing opportunities for all citizens. And whereas on this landmark anniversary, we honor the pioneers who bravely worked to challenge and overcome housing discrimination. And whereas individuals in the state of Illinois have the right to choose where to live without discrimination based on race, color, religion, age 40 and over, sex, including sexual harassment and pregnancy, familial status, marital status, national origin, ancestry, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, military status, unfavorable military discharge, and order of protection status. And whereas the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics commits all realtors to providing equal professional services without discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, handicap, sexual orientation, gender identity, and national origin. And whereas acts of housing discrimination and barriers to equal housing opportunity are repugnant to a common sense of decency and fairness. And whereas the Village of Round Lake Beach welcomes the opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to the principle of fair housing for all and is committed to all efforts that address discrimination in our communities, support all programs that educate the public concerning their rights to equal housing opportunity, and to assure every person their right to live free of the fear of housing discrimination for the next 50 years and beyond. Now therefore, I, Mayor Richard H. Hill of the Village of Round Lake Beach, do hereby resolve that April 2018, being Fair Housing Month, begins a year-long commemoration of the U.S. Fair Housing Law in Round Lake Beach, and urges all citizens to wholeheartedly recognize this celebration throughout the year.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second.
By Trustee Wallace, second by Trustee Husk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, that's approved. Thank you. And with our clerk on the spot again here, we have a resolution proclaiming April 8th through the 14th, 2018 National Telecommunicators Week, which, as most of us know them as dispatchers at CENTCOM.
Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from the citizens who telephone the CENTCOM 911 Communications Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of CENTCOM 911 have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each telecommunicator has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during their performance of the job in the past year. And therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Round Lake Beach proclaims the week of April 8th through 14th, 2018, to be National Telecommunicators Week in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our village and citizens safe.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve? By trustee Valdez,
Second.
by trustee Butler, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, we'll make sure we get a signed copy of that over to CENTCOM for the telecommunicators as they celebrate the Telecommunications Week. Okay, item 3, we have a Beach Fest committee appointments. We've changed our Beach Fest, brought it back in-house as part of the Village of Round Lake Beach instead of outside organization. At this point, I'd like to appoint the first 7 members. It would be Kevin Wallace, one of our trustees. He'll be the chair. We'll also have the other members, Anne Marie Pride, Terry Meyer, Christy Bartolane, Evie Emilio, Sarah Lee, and Christina De Stefano. They will draw lots to see who gets which term. There'll be some 3-year terms, some 2-year terms, and some 1-year terms. Then in the future, they'll be turned over accordingly based on what their lot is. So there'll be some reappointments next year, or some new appointments next year, depending on how well the people work out and if they're still interested. Any questions on the appointments? We have just all one. Do we have a motion to approve all those 7 appointments?
So moved.
I'll give that trustee Husk,
Second.
trustee Butler. We have motion to second. Please call the roll.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
That's approved 5-0. That's all was on a marriage report tonight. Is there a clerk's report tonight?
There is not, thank you.
Okay, move on to our items of business then. We have item A, is an ordinance approving the annual municipal budget for the fiscal year 2018-2019. We just held our budget hearing, and now we're ready to pass the budget. And kind of rounded off numbers, our general fund's around 15 million, with our water sewer fund about 5 million, and our capital projects about 6 million, with some other funds spread in there, so we're total about $29 million. It's been reviewed by the staff, it's been reviewed by all the trustees, by myself. I think we're ready to pass this. Any of the trustees have any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve? Motion by trustee Wallace,
Second?
second by trustee Nichols. We have a motion and a second. Any questions by the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item B is an ordinance approving an expenditure for sound, lighting, and technical services in an amount not to exceed $25,000. Round Lake Beach has several concerts annually, which we just talked about, one of them coming up on May 5th, the American English. We also have Beach Fest this summer. We're going to have a lot of lighting and sound services we'll be needing, so we're passing this not to exceed $25,000 to cover us for the next fiscal year for all those expenses. Those are all generally recouped through attendance and sponsorships to help cover all the costs. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
trustee Butler, second by trustee Husk. We have motion and a second. Any questions by the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item C is a resolution approving an award of contract to Brightview Landscaping Services LLC in amount not to exceed $90,300. This is for landscaping maintenance on some of our more used village-owned properties. It also includes renovations for Lakefront Park. As we all saw earlier this year, some of the stuff that we put in several years ago when we rejuvenated that whole park, reconstructed it. They need a little work, and it's time to upgrade it and fix it. Some of the pavers are sinking, need to put a concrete underneath them, put some new pavers in. Some of the landscape walls are starting to tilt a little bit, need to correct that. And a bunch of other stuff to make sure our residents can safely use that property down there. It's just a beautiful area. We want to make sure they can continue to use it. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Nichols,
Yeah, second then.
second by trustee Valdez. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item D is a resolution approving an award of contract to Acres Group. This is also for landscaping maintenance and some of the village-owned properties and properties with violations that we actually have to go out and cut the grass because it gets so high and the owners of the property are not taking care of it. Unfortunately, the bids came in very high on this, so we actually asked that we reject all the bids, waiving the bidding process, and are moving to approve a 3-year contract with the Acres Group in Wakanda, Illinois, for the 2018 to 2020 mowing maintenance program, based on the March 13, 2018 pricing revisions. We negotiated with them to come back with some more favorable terms for the community for Round Lake Beach, and we're all in agreement now that this will work for our budget, and we'll be able to move forward with this. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve? Motion by
Second.
trustee Butler, second by trustee Husk. We have motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item E is a resolution authorizing and approving an award of contract to Peter Baker and Sons in the amount not to exceed $556,189.40. This is the beginning of our capital improvement projects. We're ready to go out with this one and get the ball rolling here. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Wallace,
Second.
second by trustee Valdez. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item F is an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the Village of Round Lake Beach. Each year, we have to approve our zoning map to make sure if there's any changes in it. This year, we only had one small change along Orchard, with some of the property that used to be, I think it was a state residential, is now zoned over to commercial. And other than that, nothing else has changed in the village. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Husk, second by trustee Nichols. We have motion and a second. Any questions by the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item G is a resolution approving the Second Amendment to this intergovernmental agreement with the Greater Round Lake Fire Protection District for inspection services. We have had a mutually beneficial relationship in which the firefighters do the housing and business inspections within our village. They get integrated knowledge of the homes and the businesses. In case there's a fire, they already know what the layout is and things like that. They also have the opportunity to install life-saving devices like smoke detectors and so forth that they get on grants. They can put in for free, no charge to our residents. And then we also get the inspections done at a reasonable rate. So it works out well for all of us. It's been a great partnership, and we'd like to continue that. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by trustee Wallace.
Second.
Second by trustee Butler. We have a motion and a second. Any questions by the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item H is a resolution authorizing and approving an award of contract to Leo J. Fox Trucking and Excavating in an amount not to exceed $6,375. We're going to be demolishing another dilapidated house. This is a 317 West Hawthorne. 906 Cedar Lake. Got the wrong, jump to the next one. 906 Cedar Lake Road, by Frank's Flooring. The owner of the property right across the street on Cedar Lake Road just demolished that building. So the entrance to our community from Round Lake is going to look much better. We'll also probably be able to reuse that building that used to be Frank's Floors, since they'll have some parking available there also then, once that building's out of the way. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Motion by trustee Husk,
Second.
second by trustee Butler. Any questions by the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item I is a resolution authorizing conveyance of certain property located within the village of Round Lake Beach, commonly known as 317 West Hawthorne Drive and Round Lake Beach. Since we used grant money to obtain and demolish the property, we need to transfer it over to not-for-profit according to the grant stipulations for the next 3 years, and it will remain vacant. And at that time, after that point, then we can go ahead and do something with it, whether we split it with the neighboring properties or do something completely different. We haven't decided yet, but we have 3 years to work on that property and several others that we've demolished over the last couple of years. We'll have a lot of vacant property we can work with. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Wallace, second by trustee Nichols. We have a motion and a second. Any questions by the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item J is a resolution reallocating the 2018 volume cap to the village of Buffalo Grove, Illinois. For years, we've passed along our bonding authority, the first-time home buyers program, to help people buy their first home. We also give them part of it to Lake County Partners for manufacturing, multi-housing, construction. This, we're going to be giving 75% to first-time home buyers through the village of Buffalo Grove, and 25% will go to Lake County Partners, which will be the next ordinance. This has worked out very well. I think that we've had 33 residents buy homes in Round Lake Beach over the last 3 years, which has been great to be able to use this process and to save themselves a lot of money and be able to actually afford to buy a home rather than continue to rent. That's been great. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Valdez,
Second?
second by trustee Husk. Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item K is an ordinance approving the transfer volume cap in connection with private activity bond issues and related matters. This is the second part of the last ordinance where we'll be giving 25% of our volume cap bonding authority to Lake County Partners. And again, this costs the village nothing. In fact, if they do use some of this bonding authority, we can get a small amount of money back. But again, it costs us nothing. It's our authority to do the bonding. We have the projects in our community right now that we can use this bonding authority for. So we're going to let somebody else in the Lake County hopefully use it and have some, hopefully, jobs for our residents. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Butler.
Second.
Second by trustee Nichols. We have motion and second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Item L is an ordinance approving a special use permit for property at 1655 Wood Street, Round Lake Beach, Illinois. This is a small manufacturing plant that's installing a sleeping area for overnight security. I've been asking for this for a while now, and to make it within legal tenets of our ordinances, we want to make sure we pass this to approve that. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve? Motion by trustee Wallace, second by trustee Husk. We have motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
That's also approved 5-0. That was our last item of business. We do have an executive session on the agenda tonight, but before that is open to public participation. Anyone has a question or comment for the board, please come to the microphone, give your name and address for the record, and to state your comment or ask your question.
Good evening, Mayor and Board and staff. Dick Barr, resident of Country Walk Drive. I just wanted to thank you again, Board. I think you do a fantastic job for our community and for all of our citizens. Continually, you guys are responsive to our demands, or even things that we're just concerned about. You guys step in and you make big progress for us. I also want to stand here as a realtor and a resident and thank you for the proclamation for fair housing. As you know, it's as a realtor, fair housing is one of the tenets of the most sacred tenets we have in our code of ethics. And what's really nice about Round Lake Beach is it's a diversified, good community with lots of affordable housing, and we appreciate your commitment to that as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. The board tried very hard to meet the needs of our residents without going overboard, and I think we've done a very good job. Thank you. Okay, if there's no other public comment then, we do have executive session for probable pending litigation, land acquisition, executive session minutes, and personnel. Is there a motion to go into executive session? Motion by trustee Butler. Second by trustee Nichols. Please call the roll.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols. Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. We will be in executive session for a while. When we come out, we may or may not have any action on those executive session items. You're welcome to stay, but it's not required. Thank you.
But Bob Rolick was still there then,
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you two troublemakers. I try to keep you both in mind, but
No, but I mean, the board was gracious to give them that
Yeah.
2 acres to use for that purpose.
Right.
they want the whole woods behind them.
You know, I gotta tell you this story when we're done.
Okay.
It's not real long, but it's too long to tell before we get out, before you adjourn.
Call the meeting back to order for the Village of Round Lake Beach for March 26, 2018. We're out of executive session. We have no action on our executive session items. Do you have a motion to adjourn? Motion by trustee Butler, second by trustee Nichols. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
So,